Good morning, and this is Morning Real. If I see it, I review it. It's a 200 minute or so podcast of films that I review from black and white to color, from 1889 to 2025. You name it, I review it. Anyways, today I'm very excited to review this film called Opening Night. It's a 1977 American psychological drama film written and directed by John Cassavetes. Who's John Cassavetes? Listen, man. John Cassavetes is like a rapper's favorite rapper, but in filmmaking. So it's a filmmaker's favorite filmmaker. And this guy did not make a lot of movies in his lifetime. I mean, compared to like, let's just say Francis Ford Coppola, Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch. He did make a handful of films, a lot of unproduced work since the time of his death that has been discovered, right? John Cassavetes is a G, man. He is the epitome of an independent filmmaker, an American independent filmmaker. Just to like put the emphasis on that, because guess what, man? Like, if this guy had not existed, or maybe just directed maybe like 3 films and that's it, we wouldn't have directors like Sean Baker and Quentin Tarantino, like just off top. Because when you look at this guy's work, especially this film, Opening Night, you see a lot of what Quentin Tarantino would do in his career, you know, and work on Why as well. I'm pretty sure Wong Kar-wai studied John Cassavetes, and honestly, like every filmmaker should study Cassavetes, because he really isn't your he's just not your typical movie director, you know. He makes films about people going through like shit, man. Either it's like a mental breakdown, or they're stuck in a hard place between criminals, mobs, and stuff related to that. And honestly, like he deals with like he touches on race, really like puts women out there. You know, he doesn't make a woman a secondary character. In fact, he tries to put women as a primary character. And I just gotta go through the credits real quick. Anyways, this film, Opening Night, it's about an actress who is trying to make sense of a play that she is currently working under, along with like other people who are honestly taking this play very serious. And it's not that she doesn't take it serious as they do, but look, man, when somebody gives you, like, let's say you're a creative person, right? Let's say you're an actor. Somebody gives you a work and you're very talented, you know, even though you have your set of problems, right? But you're talented, and you have a certain stigma of certain things of as to how a play should be like, right? And like the play that she's working under is basically a play about aging, and she's a middle-aged actress, Gena Rowlands. Gena Rowlands is the key character. She plays this character called Myrtle Gordon, playing a play called The Second Woman, or Second Woman, whatever, right? I mean, the plot of the film, the plot of the play, uh, look, doesn't really matter, because the whole point is that she doesn't get this play. So we get the play, but she doesn't get it, because she herself is having a hard time trying to like struggle through her crisis as a middle-aged person. And it's funny because all the other actors and screenwriter, director, they're all old. They're all old. All the key cast of characters are old. And it's funny because Cassavetes, during the time of this film, when he was writing it and directing it, obviously was in the stage of middle-agedness or whatever, right? So anyway, this woman tries to make this play her own. She tries to find something in it where she can just decide, like, you know what? Okay, I gotta be cool with this woman, and I just gotta take off with it. And eventually she does, right? But it's a roller coaster of emotions, roller coaster of drama. Not an experimental psychological film, but it's it is melodramatic, but it's not the type of melodramatic that you would find in, let's say, like a Tyler Perry film, where everything's just overacted. But I would say like when it comes to Broadway and all that stuff, I think it's normal that the actors overact, right? But there's certain like stage playwrights who don't want that type of stuff. They want to stick to the script. And in this particular film, the director wanted Myrtle Gordon to stick to the script as much as she can. And it's funny because the play was written by a woman. So there's these like, there's this, not a consensus or a discourse, but all these characters play certain roles that kind of like stab at the notion of age and aging, and what their positions in their life are and what their worth is. And each character kind of puts it out there, the director puts it out there after a night of like of rehearsing. All he just wants to do is come home, have a nightcap with his wife, and go to bed. But this guy is stuck having received phone calls of Myrtle, pretty much kind of like seeking that attention. But it's not like on purpose. It's just that it's like she can't manage who she is, and then she's an alcoholic as well, and that plays a big part in the film overall. It's a wild film, man. But I love this film, and a lot of people don't really. This is like a weak Cassavetes film. A lot of people would tend to agree that it's a weak because there's not much of an ending per se in this film, and I'm not gonna spoil the ending. I'm not gonna tell you how it ends. You can kind of see where it goes and how it ends once you watch the film. I gotta say though, I was very intrigued by its ending because how I see it, besides like the actual plot is concerned, I mean this woman is really trying to get through this play as much as she can. And it's funny because like it's not like she has no choice. She can quit if she wants, but it's sort of that thing where like, and she mentions it in the film with the stage playwright, right? Played by, who plays her? John Blondell. She plays the stage playwright called Sarah Good. She writes this film. It's about aging, and obviously you can tell, and it's common in the field, in the art of filmmaking, where the writer puts a lot of himself or herself or themselves in the actual product. I'm pretty sure when Quentin Tarantino wrote Reservoir Dogs, he put his whole freaking life there, even though he's never experienced crime, he's never been in a mob type of environment or whatever. At least I don't know he has or whatnot. But put yourself there. You put a lot of yourself there. And I'm pretty sure Sarah put a lot of herself there, but Myrtle just she can't put herself there. And she does make like this point where I'm not as old as you are. So how can I even possibly understand you as a woman of your age? No disrespect. And Sarah is in the type of mindset where it's just like, you think I care, dude? Like, isn't that the point of acting? To like pretend to embody yourself as the character because you're selling something that hundreds of people are going to watch you do. And low key, high key, they're expecting greatness. Anything you put out, you're obviously going to expect, especially when it comes to like entertainment, in anything in entertainment, you expect it to be the greatest thing ever. And you have to repeat the greatest thing ever again and again and again. In this particular play, Myrtle just can't do it. She just can't. It's like she can't see where she could stand along with the character that she's playing. And not only that, man, like after maybe the first night or two of rehearsal, she gets out, right? And everybody's like, oh my God, you're the best. Oh my God, I can't live without you. And there's this one fan who like literally throws herself onto Myrtle and cries and like doesn't want to let go of her, wants to like just be attached to her because maybe that's like the only thing that makes sense to her. And it's funny because I think that's what Gena Rowlands, who plays Myrtle Gordon, is trying to make sense of this play and of herself. Like, I'm doing this. I've been doing this for a long time. I want to put myself out there. Acting is what gets my kicks going. And she said something like that herself, to Sarah Good. Like, I get a kick out of acting. Like, it's just, I just can't. I just can't. It's just weird. Like, I don't know. And then, anyways, the fan, tries to, just not only get her autograph signed, but just wants to like live through her, right? And it comes to the point where she's like on her knees and she can't get up. It's like she's lost control of her own self. And it's crazy because Myrtle loses control of her own self a couple of times throughout the film. And it's, man, I just gotta say this, man. Like, Gena Rowland recently passed away. She lived a long age. She's done a bunch of films since being with Cassavetes, right? I mean, she did The Notebook, playing the primary, not the, like, playing the older version of Rachel McAdams' character, like she plays like, I guess the present, of that character, right? And man, dude, like, one of the first films that I've seen Gena Rowlands in, I've honestly is The Notebook. And I remember seeing The Notebook like maybe like 10 years after it came out, and then when you're watching it from like a different perspective of life as you're older, right? And you see this character, but you see the woman behind the character, right? And you're like, dude, that's Gena Rowlands, and she's still. It's not like she's playing again another role of a woman breaking down, but like it makes sense how a person like Gena Rowlands can like embody a role like that or embody a similar role and play it to a T. And honestly, man, like it's it's not difficult, but at the same time, it's not easy to play women who are under any type of distress. But Gena Rowlands does it so good, especially in opening night. Like, you can see this person em- embodying a character who's trying to figure herself out, along with people who are like, they're not very the most encouraging of people, right? But then again, it's like this woman's an alcoholic. She's fucking everything up, dude. Like, she can't even like maintain herself to get slapped by her co-star. But like, because this is gonna be live on stage, right? There is going to be violence. There is going to be some type of battery where a man is going to legitimately harm a woman with an open hand slap, but not even using the palm, using the fingers, right? And this is very carefully directed, right? Especially by Ben Gazzara playing Manny Victor, who's the director of the play. And man, I'm not seeing a lot of Ben Gazzara. To see him play a play director or whatever, man, it's fun seeing him now. But it's great to see him put himself out there, as a character. But yeah, all these people who surround Myrtle, honestly, not the best people to surround themselves to. They're kind of dicks, man. Like, then again, at the same time, it's like everybody has a role, right? Even to the personnel, like the grip, lighting staff, all that stuff, man. Like, they're doing a job. They're hired. They're getting paid, or at least trying to get paid good. You know what I'm saying? And then comes in this chick, Myrtle Gordon, who's just unstable, and it's kind of like not her fault, man, because towards in the first act of the film, like, she witnesses a car crash with that fan. Like, she sees that fan. Well, I don't know if she sees her or not, but that fan does get killed. Like, gets killed by a car, and it haunts her. And it haunts her throughout the whole film to the point where she needs to see a spiritualist. And it's funny because that's the only time where Sarah Good is actually good to Myrtle. Like, she actually tries to help her out because, after hearing her story and all that stuff, just like, okay, you know what? Let's try this. And I gotta say, man, from a screenwriting point of view, especially like, you don't want to say just some plain old film about a woman breaking down. There's got to be reasons for it. There's got to be some type of drive. The stakes are high and they got to get higher. And here you are watching Myrtle and Sarah go to a spiritualist's home or workshop or whatnot, try to do a seance. And it's kind of hard to tell whether if we are watching the woman who died, or is it really Myrtle watching it and we're just getting a perspective of her? It's kind of very difficult to kind of it's kind of very difficult to kind of get the head wrapped onto that, but it works for her. It works for the screenplay because you got to push something forward, right? Like this film is about a woman actress trying to get her shit together, right? Which is like kind of very hard to do. And it's funny because like if you're drinking, you're trying to just cope with the trauma. Obviously, that's not going to help, but it's a fun ride to see this film. Fun ride to see Gena Rowlands playing Myrtle Gordon. She really pulls it off, man. I like the way they touch the subject of aging, touch the subject of acting and aging at the same time. It's a really good film. I'm not really into Broadway or plays, but when you watch something like this, and it's funny because the way Cassavetes shoots the play scenes, it's obviously from kind of like from the audience's point of view, right? Like, and it's from different angles as well. And I love how he uses the space, and it was filmed at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, which is kind of really cool to know that this film was shot like shit, like less than 10 miles from where I live. It's kind of nice to see that a director can pull something like that off. But anyways, the way he can use that much space, to like let the actors be free. And even though this is a fucking play in a film that we're watching, it's fun to see how actors come together and just act their asses off. And there's a point in this film where Myrtle comes up to Maurice Aarons, who is played by John Cassavetes, and it's crazy because it's fun to see like directors star in their films, and yeah, there's some that don't really do a good job. Like, no offense, dude, Spike Lee and Quentin Tarantino, they're not but they're not supposed to be, right? They're just trying to move the story forward. That's their whole point, whether it's shitty or not. But Cassavetes, man, in this film, man, like talk about breaking the fourth wall. Talk about breaking the foundations of filmmaking, the core foundations of filmmaking, and just like let it rip and make it his own. He himself, as a filmmaker, is trying to understand or try to put an understanding, try to put his own thing onto a project like this. And could it work? I believe it did work. Now, like I said in the beginning of all this, not a lot of people liked this film because it felt like it didn't really go too much anywhere. But I mean, the whole plot of the film, really, to me, at least, is this woman trying to fucking get through this play, get through the opening night, period. And guess what? She did that. Now, did she pull it off or not? That's really up to the viewer to decide. Now, in the film, there is a consensus. And, when you're watching a shitty film, people love shitty films and people don't like shitty films. But when you sit in the theater and you watch a shitty play going on and you don't even know it, but you're rooting for it because to you it just makes sense. And I feel like that's what John Cassavetes was trying to inquire upon, that like there are some things, even if it's crap, if it makes sense to you, if you love it and applaud it and all that stuff, then that person won. Gena Rowlands won, and she continues to keep on winning up until the time of her passing. But if anybody's trying to get into acting or loves to see films with women-driven roles, you will never be disappointed with Gena Rowlands. She is a one-of-a-kind female actor that, even to this day, there hasn't been. It's not like you can't become Gena Rowlands or become like Gena Rowlands, but this woman, like, with all the handful of films that she's been in, every one of them, she she put her 100% self out there, and you can never get enough. Honestly, I kind of want to watch the film again, and not from like a critic. The critic comes out in you sometimes, but like when you're watching it as a fan, as like seeing a person just be as free as they can in filmmaking, and then like Broadway and all that stuff, to see it happen, no holds bar, and trying and having them make sense of it for themselves. Like, what more do you want? I think the film wins, and as far as the third act is concerned, I think it just wins just by the fact that she got through the fucking play, to some dismay of certain people, but she won, man. And that's funny because like people don't really like when you got something going on, like something that's brutal to you, going through a bad situation, but you got a project that you gotta like make sure that you deliver, because there's hundreds of people who are kind of basically make like they're putting it all on you, in a sense. They're just putting it all on you, and you just got to do it, because otherwise, like, what was the point even trying to do it in the first place, right? So there's that. A lot of narratives in this film, a lot of point of views, but I feel like in the core, it's it's a lot like trying to make shit your own, trying to make sense of it at the same time. And if people are willing to do that alongside you, you win at that as well. And why not do it? Because you only have one life, right? What a what an interesting film about life, about aging, about how making sense of life, especially through your career. My name is Ray Salazar. Follow me on Morning Shelf Films, IG and YouTube. Check out my website, morningshelffilms.co. You can check out other reviews that I've done. They're all out there. Thank you, and see you in the theater.